Like most of the basketball world, I was completely shocked when the New York Knicks traded Kristaps Porzingis, the most talented player they have had since Patrick Ewing, to the Dallas Mavericks, along with a couple of bad contracts. The trade was basically a salary dump that involved using a potential franchise player as a sweetener in the deal. In exchange, the Knicks got Dennis Smith Jr., who they actually wanted in the 2017 draft, but Phil Jackson happened, and they also received expiring contracts along with 2 future first-round draft picks. I'll cover the Knicks side of things about the trade at a later date because that ground has been plowed over multiple times at this point. I just want to talk about the Mavericks side of things, because with 2 trades in the past 8 months, I believe they have positioned themselves to transition seamlessly from the Dirk era. I had a Luka Doncic video with 68,000 views a few months ago that ended up being taken down due to copyright issues, so this video is 1. A good excuse to talk about Luka again, and 2. The acquisition of Porzingis means that this team could have a foundation of 2 players with the potential to be franchise-changing cornerstones. Today marks a calendar year since Porzingis tore the ACL in his left knee, and for the most part, he has been out of sight and out of mind. It's easy to forget how tantalizing the skill set was when he was on the court. A mobile 7'3" big who can shoot threes, put the ball on the deck, and protect the rim at a high level. That's a rare combination of physical traits and basketball skills for a player to have. Porzingis jumped on the scene instantly in his rookie year, and by his 3rd season, he became the first Knick since Carmelo Anthony to be named to the All-Star game. Before Porzingis went down with that knee injury, he was averaging a career-high 22.7 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, and shot 40% on threes if you take out end-of-the-quarter, end-of-half heaves. He has a quick and compact shooting release for a man of his size, making him such a threat in the pick and pop. If he posts up a smaller defender, he can simply just shoot over the top of them. Porzingis runs the floor as well as any big, trailing for 3-point shots and running rim to rim with his athleticism also makes him a threat. His offensive portfolio, however, does have its flaws. Porzingis is not a good passer, averaging 1.3 assists for his career and posting a lowly career assist percentage of 7.2. That's pretty bad. When it comes to scoring, per Cleaning the Glass, 18% of his shots came at the rim last season, which was a drop-off from his previous 2 seasons, and even those numbers were low. Just look at the percentile he placed in every season in terms of his numbers around the rim. If you take out some of the mid-range tendencies and reallocate the shots to more 3-point attempts and rim attempts, you won't see Porzingis' efficiency drop as drastically like at any point in his last 3 seasons. Every season, Porzingis has seemed to hit some form of a wall, get a better shot chart diet, better conditioning, and Porzingis will be able to better sustain his offensive numbers in the future. He just needs to stay healthy first. Porzingis is also a great weak side shot blocker, averaging 2 blocks per game for his career, and I don't even think he's fully tapped into his potential as a rim protector for reasons that I will get into later. Porzingis has the potential to be a franchise level player. What tier level he falls under as a franchise cornerstone is up for debate, but that debate is null and void if he is now paired next to Luka Doncic. Actually, now that I think about it, we should just wait and see. We gotta hold off judgment until Porzingis comes back healthy. Nah, that. Let's have some fun and imagine a little bit. Having Doncic and Porzingis as your foundation is something that a lot of teams wish they could have. Doncic continues to prove that he is going to be a future superstar, and the skill set of Porzingis to me is just a perfect tailor-made fit right next to him. A pick-and-pop combination between those 2 is already something you can build all kinds of offensive sets around because of the inherent spacing that it would provide. Doncic is an incredible passer out of any situation and can shoot from any distance on the court, and having a dance partner like the Unicorn who can gun from the perimeter or roll to the rim for lobs is a match made in heaven. If Porzingis plays more center in Dallas, then the offense at the very least will almost always be functional. The opposing big will be pulled from the basket, which opens up more driving lanes, and that means more room for a pick and roll maestro like Doncic to work his magic. I want you guys to take a look at both players' pick and roll numbers that I pulled from Synergy. They are perfect for each other. Throughout history, usually a young duo of stars worked on the court because of the combination of their sheer talents just made it work. But it's rare when a young duo is not only talented, but their skill sets also fit together like a glove. That adds an extra layer of potency on top of how good this duo could be. Porzingis has never had the luxury of playing with a creator like Doncic. Just look at the list of point guards Porzingis has had in New York. His pick and roll effectiveness could actually take another leap playing with Luka. It's also safe to say that Doncic hasn't had someone like Porzingis on his team even going back to his days in the EuroLeague. They will both be able to open up new dimensions of their game simultaneously. It's only fair to talk about some of the questions I have related to this trade. Unfortunately, there are some questions that won't be answered until we see Porzingis on the court again. We already know he won't return this season according to ESPN's Tim McMahon, but even then, I do have a few questions that I just can't help but ask. First is health. Porzingis at 23 already has some serious health concerns, especially with the lower extremities. Usually 7-footers and constant lower extremity injuries have a very checkered history to say the least. Before his ACL injury last year, Porzingis had a lot of other nagging injuries, and you have to wonder at what point does it all add up. After this season, Porzingis will have only played 186 out of 328 possible games. The Mavericks are obviously pretty confident in their medical staff, so I'm holding out hope that Porzingis will be healthy long term. But it's still a huge concern considering that his mobility and his athleticism is what makes him the rare kind of big that he is. I also want to see if Porzingis will play more center instead of power forward. I've always wondered why he didn't play enough center while in New York. According to Basketball Reference, Porzingis has spent 78% of his playing time as a power forward with the Knicks. He almost always had a center next to him, whether it be Robin Lopez, Kyle O'Quinn, Willie Hernan-Gomez, the ghost of Joakim Noah, or Enes Kanter. In today's NBA, Porzingis should be playing almost exclusively center. You can utilize every bit of his rim protection potential, and his mobility would help him in a switching scenario if he ends up guarding the perimeter. The potential offensively, as mentioned earlier, is also too tantalizing. You can open up so much space in an offense starting Porzingis at the 5. There you have the base of a 5-out offense flocked with multiple shooters and multiple ball handlers. This is where the building aspect of the roster is very key. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Maxi Kleber becomes a restricted free agent this summer, because that's actually the ideal power forward that I would put next to Porzingis. A really good athlete who has shown that he can switch and guard on the perimeter, protect the rim a little bit, and can shoot at a not so bad clip from 3. I also can't forget to mention the other players that were involved in this trade. I want to see how Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Courtney Lee fit into this offense. Head coach Rick Carlisle is known for getting the most out of guards. Just look at how he's gotten the most out of older guards like Devin Harris, Darren Williams to some extent, old Jason Kidd, and JJ Barea before he tore his Achilles. Courtney Lee is a big guard that is also a career 39% three-point shooter, so there is a role for him somewhere on this team. Tim Hardaway Jr., while still on a bad contract, is a gunner that could actually see a boost in his efficiency now that he isn't being asked to carry the load offensively for a bad team. I'm also interested to see how Carlisle utilizes Trey Burke. Burke saved his career last season, and while his production has dipped somewhat this season, he still maintained his role as a scoring guard off the bench. We all know having multiple ball handlers that can create offense a little bit is something Carlisle actively seeks for in his offensive system. I remember a time where the Mavericks had a young duo and owner Mark Cuban traded away one of those players and left many of us basketball fans with a big pile of what-if questions. Now, the Mavs have a second shot with Porzingis and Doncic. There was some posturing from the Porzingis camp that he would take the qualifying offer this summer instead of signing the rookie extension, but Monday's press conference painted a different story, with Cuban essentially confirming that Porzingis does plan to sign long-term to stay in Dallas. Porzingis agreed, saying, quote, "We're on the same page." Cuban also brought up the mistakes from the Nash-Dirk era and how this time he wants to keep Porzingis and Luka together for quote-unquote 20 years. Quite frankly, I agree with him. This is the kind of opportunity you can't pass up. When a franchise-caliber talent is available and you already have a future superstar in your building, you take that swing 10 times out of 10. Even if it means you have to give up future first-round draft picks, that cost to me is worth it. I can't wait to see this duo play on the court next year, because the ceiling of a Doncic-Porzingis tandem is about as limitless as you can get. Let me know if you agree. In terms of young and talented duos, where does a Doncic-Porzingis pairing stack up with other young duos? Let me know in the comments section below, give the video a like, and if you like hoops and like talking hoops, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for the support.